At the end of World War I, the Treaty of Versailles required Germany to surrender portions of its territory and placed significant constraints on the size and composition of its armed forces. Despite these measures, Germany is able to struggle to its feet, and by the early 1930s stands among the world's great powers again. The Nazis, who had seized power in 1933, continue a clandestine buildup of its armed forces. By 1939, after the Anschluss of Austria and the annexation of Czechoslovakia, Germany's territory and population are larger than prior to World War I. But the Nazis have no intention of stopping there. In September 1939, Germany invades Poland. In response, the United Kingdom and France declare war on Germany. But the Wehrmacht successfully demonstrates its new tactic of Blitzkrieg to the world. Polish resistance crumbles within weeks. Indecisiveness by the UK and France allows Germany to occupy Denmark and Norway. At Dunkirk, the British forces are nearly wiped out by a German assault. France is on the edge of defeat. All that remains is for Germany to force its way across the Marne River. The Blitzkrieg strategy has been overwhelmingly successful. Having suffered no significant losses, Germany has occupied half of Europe. But the Italians, who have joined the war on Germany's side, are not so lucky. They suffer one defeat after another. In Greece, the Italian troops are repelled successfully, while in Ethiopia and Libya, they are completely routed. The Italian government turns to Germany for help. Responding to the request, the German High Command dispatches Field Marshal Erwin Rommel and his Africa Corps to Libya. Meanwhile, German units deploy to mainland Greece in an attempt to crush the British and Greek presence there and on the island of Crete. Rommel decides to launch an assault aimed at driving the British back to Egypt. But the Commonwealth-occupied fortress of Tobruk in northern Libya presents a thorn in Rommel's side, one that must first be dealt with decisively. In spite of many successes, Rommel is unable to defeat his adversaries in North Africa. The German High Command directs its principal might instead against the one enemy perceived to pose a real risk to Germany, the Soviet Union. With little notice, a force of 190 German divisions invades the Soviet Union and begins another lightning assault to the east. The element of surprise, perfect battle readiness, and recent combat experience secures the Wehrmacht's initial rapid success. Soviet troops, unprepared for such a massive assault, fall back along the entire border. But the Soviets give ground grudgingly and demonstrate a fierce will to resist. Soviet soldiers fight hard for every inch of land, slowly dulling the initial pace of the German advance. In the first 2 weeks of operations, German casualties are heavier than the previous 2 years combined. In the battle for Moscow, the Blitzkrieg strategy has finally lost its effect. However, the German army's might is still vast, and now it pushes toward the Soviet oil fields near the Caspian Sea to seize the key city of Stalingrad. The long war against the Allies is slowly dulling the German war effort, creating a desperate situation. Germany is finding it difficult to oppose the colossal industrial might and seemingly endless divisions that the Allies can field. Meanwhile, the Axis is disintegrating. Italy has even joined the enemy. Japan is still fighting, but is now largely on the defensive. Despite its setbacks, however, the Wehrmacht is still very strong. Remaining units now receive the most advanced battle equipment created by German engineering. England is shelled with V-1 and V-2 rockets, while the German sky is partially shielded under a defensive prototype jet airplanes. A German high command, a bold plan to drive the Allies back into the sea is created. Troops are transferred from the eastern front to the Ardennes forest. A force of 125 German divisions, supported by the new and devastating King Tiger tanks, is assembled for one final surprise assault. Germany now launches its last desperate counteroffensive, the Battle of the Bulge. The successful German breakthrough at Ardennes does not result in the anticipated defeat of the enemy. While initially surprised and thrown back, the Allied army regroups. Unable to sustain a drawn-out offensive, Germany's remaining forces suffer from limited supplies and fuel, facing a determined American and British defense and counterattack. While elsewhere, Soviet troops are closing on Berlin from the east. While German submarines fight on valorously in the Atlantic, and the Wehrmacht and the Luftwaffe continue to gain piecemeal successes in Europe, the Soviet occupation of Berlin and the constant resupplying of the Allies breaks the back of the German war effort. Unwilling and unable to pay the price of continued futile resistance on its own homeland, Germany is forced to an unconditional surrender. After nearly 6 years, the war in Europe has come to a close.